Hi, and welcome to Kindred Culture. I'm your host, Nisa DeBro. I want to welcome you to a brand new show dealing with different topics facing the world and different cultures. I definitely want to welcome my first guest. My first guest is King Kevin. I want to welcome you to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks
Doing great. Thank you for being here. Well, what we want to talk about today, we want to talk about the black male in white America. This is something that's been facing a great deal of Americans in 2019, and I would say in the past decade, where we're dealing with a lot of discrimination, racism, and we definitely want to get your opinion, get your feedback on being a black male in white America.
Wow. Me being a black male in America, I feel as if the odds are against me. I know I speak for millions of young brothers and sisters who feel the same way. You know, even when I was in college, I just felt as if, just to even get to that point was like a miracle. If it wasn't for track and field and football, I would never see myself in college. And then when I got to college, I never felt as if I was good enough, being around all these white students. So we definitely need to deal with that. I think it has a lot to do with some of the trauma we've faced in our communities, amongst our own people, black on black crime, and also white on black crime with police brutality.
Well, do you think a lot of the things that, whether it's a black male or a female or of any culture, do you think this is something that's taught? Do you think that this is something that's handed down, through almost like a generational curse, I'll say, where you think about, okay, hey, this is what happened to my brother. This is what happened to my sister. So do you think like, okay, well, since it happened to my sister, do you think, okay, well, the same thing is going to happen to me?
Oh, definitely. It's definitely something that's, they call it the genetic memory, that certain things that your ancestors have gone through, whether it was positive or negative, you're going to experience them and feel them yourself. Particularly slavery, the trauma, the list goes on and on what happened back then. I don't need to explain to you what happened. You seem to be a beautiful, smart queen.
Thank you.
So without a doubt, those things, those traumas, which is called PSD, post-traumatic syndrome, we still have those feelings, those feelings of anger, those feelings of emptiness, those feelings of just injustice that we face for what 400 plus years here in America. Not just here in America, but the Caribbean islands. I'm Haitian, so my family in Haiti, or my people from different islands and throughout Africa. I mean that the racism is very real, and just the financial disproportionate amount of people who are suffering economically. So the political, social, economic situation of our people worldwide, black people worldwide, is very real. And so to think that we can address and fix them overnight is not going to happen. It's going to take an actual system to fight the white system, what we call the white man's world, because that's what we live in, to be real.
Well, I think that, as far as, some of the things that, some of our ancestors faced, those that happened over 400 years ago, we're dealing with some of the things, quite a few of the things that, they dealt with in a different way. Okay. Not definitely the same thing, but just in a different way. However, we have we definitely have rights. We have more rights than, say, our ancestors did. Definitely. We definitely can do more. So as far as getting out into our communities, we can get out into our communities, we can volunteer, within our culture or different cultures to get to know other cultures, to where we don't face so much adversity. We don't face so much, definitely, as we would say, racism, or discrimination. We can definitely get out and do different things versus what our ancestors, they didn't have those rights. They didn't have a right to vote, where, a black person could not vote, or a woman couldn't vote. So it's so many things that are different now than, say, what our ancestors dealt with. We're still dealing with we're dealing with racism, period. However, it's a little bit different than what our ancestors dealt with.
It's a lot different. One, President Barack Obama, the first black president. I believe he's the 44th president of the United States.
Yes.
I know that our ancestors would be very happy to know that we had a black president. But then again, ask yourself, what did he do for the black community? He did a lot for the LGBT community, but what about the black community?
You know what? Let me stop you there. I think he did an amazing amount of things for the Black community. First and foremost, you know, for our youth, our millennials, he showed us that, you know, an African American male or anyone of a different race could be the president of the United States. That's first and foremost. For me, that was rewarding. I'm glad that I was in this date and time of history to be able to witness that. So, you know, along with other things, you know, as far as healthcare, you know, Obamacare is a great deal of things where people that, you know, were not insured, they were able to get the health care that they needed. So, you know, it's definitely helpful, you know, for us to show our youth. That's why it's so important, you know, as a culture, you know, as a Black American male, especially a Black American male, to get out in our communities, you know, to definitely volunteer, you know, big brothers. Be a big brother, you know, because we have so many young males, we have so many, you know, youth that are in homes that do not have fathers. So therefore, you know, it helps, you know, as we're talking about uniting, we're talking about getting together, you know, and making this a better world to live in together. We've got to do our part. We definitely have to do our part. We have to get out in our communities. We have to get out, you know, and volunteer. We have to get out and vote. That's really, really important.
See, there's no doubt about it. I mean, voting is one thing, but voting for what? I mean, we got Trump into the White House. And back to make a comment about Barack Obama, I will agree he did do something regarding the Obamacare. That's the only thing he did other than look good, smiling for, you know, looking good on social media and looking good with his wife, Michelle Obama. But as far as helping the Black community, our brothers and sisters were getting slaughtered on the streets, and he was a president, and he did nothing. And so, I mean, it's there, you know what I'm saying? The only difference between him and Trump, they both didn't do anything for the Black community. And that's just being honest with you. And Trump, with the government shutdown, I mean, how is that, you know, helping us as a people, not just Black or white, but everybody? Everybody's being affected by that.
Well, let me say this. You can't expect to just have one person to change the world. One person can't do it. We have to get together. We definitely have to come together as one. We have to, again, get out in the community. Another thing, to vote. It is so important. I honor that. I honor, you know, every time there is a presidential election, a general election, I get out and vote no matter how long it takes, because that's one thing my ancestors died for. They fought for it, for me to have the opportunity to do so. So it's going to take more than the Barack Obamas, you know, the President Trumps to come in and change the world. We as a people, we're going to have to get together, change the world, get out and support each other, learn about different cultures, and learn why, you know, okay, why a Black man is afraid to get stopped by the police. You know, so it definitely has to, you know, start with us, as well as from a political standpoint, from the president down to the man that's on the street.
I hear you loud and clear. Trust me, I hear you. But however, the power is not in voting. The power in America, you know, I'm sorry to give you the rude awakening, is behind having land and resources. If you don't have the land and resources, you can vote a million times. It's not going to be anything. Land and resources mean power, it means money, and that's what pushes the envelope in Congress.
Well, what do you think if you don't vote? You know, I think voting changes a great deal of things. That's why we had a African-American president for 2 terms, because people got out and voted. So if you don't vote and you still complain, or you still facing the same issues that started prior to voting, what do you think is going to change? If you don't do anything, especially if you don't vote, you'll sit back and, oh, I'm going to, you know, complain about, you know, this, I'm going to complain about this issue, and the fact that, you know, we're being discriminated against, and, you know, we can't get jobs. But if you don't vote, you're not doing anything.
I actually did vote. I voted for Barack Obama in both terms, so, you know, thank God for that. However, I didn't vote when the Trump and Hillary Clinton was running. I just felt as if they're both devils. It's just which one is the lesser evil, you know, and so I just didn't vote at all for that one. And regarding the whole being a Black man in America and being pulled over, I mean, I cut my dreads, you know, when I left college, because, you know, I started my own marketing business, you know, and I didn't want to have people discriminate against me because of my dress, because I know what stereotype that carries. You know, you watch the news, they have Black males being shown on TV with dreads, the pants hanging down, and so everybody automatically assumes you have dreads, oh, you must be a criminal too. So a lot of these stereotypes are actually perpetuated through the media, and that's for a reason. Like, for instance, you have I'm Haitian, you know, as I mentioned earlier. My family out of Haiti, you know, the news and media have you thinking Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And believe it or not, Haiti is the richest country in the Western Hemisphere. And how is that? They don't tell you about the $30 billion plus worth of oil and gold they found in the island. And they have to project that image of the country being poor so they can pillage it like they've been doing the rest of the countries around the world, particularly in African countries. So we have to be real about the situation. Racism is very real. We can't just keep sweeping under the rug and act as if police brutality is not happening, act as if, you know, I'm not being discriminated against when I'm out there trying to find me a job, even though I may be overqualified for the position. So it just takes a lot of hope and faith, because if I didn't have faith, if I didn't have the courage to believe, which is the name of my first book, by the way, I wouldn't have ever have come to the point and place I am now. So I just hope to inspire other people to believe in themselves and go after their dreams and goals, because the odds are stacked against black males and females, no matter how we look at it. So if we're going to change anything, it has to be us changing it. We can't wait on the government. We can't wait on the president. We can't wait on anybody else doing it. And then we could come together with other countries. That's just, or other cultures. That's how my viewpoint is on it.
Well, I want to definitely come back to, you know, police brutality. You know, as far as the officers, I have a law enforcement background. All cops are not bad. Definitely. All cops are not bad. You know, I work with a great deal of dynamic officers. So, you know, every stop is different. You know, every person is different. You don't know what that individual is dealing with. But, you know, on the same token, you have to look at it from on both ends. You know, one instance from the person that may be stopped in, say, a simple traffic stop, as well as the officer. That officer wants to go home at night. They want to leave the same time, the same way. You know, right now we've had quite a few officers that have lost their lives in the line of duty. So as well as coming in and saying, okay, well, you know, I don't want an officer, you know, to I would say, like, you know, stereotype me or discriminate against me. All of them are not bad. So we have to look at it at both ends of the stick. What can we do when you're getting ready to be stopped, or you're stopping? What are you doing at that point? Do you have your hands in your pocket? You know, things that may even scare the officer. There's a lot of different adversity that an officer, you know, working in a law enforcement background, a lot of things that officers face. So we have to look at things a little bit differently and not just already stereotyping the officer, just like you don't want the officer to stereotype you. Right. You shouldn't stereotype the officer based off of what the news media shows or what you've heard or what you've seen.
I definitely agree. And if anybody getting put over, if you black, male or female, do not make any, you know, erratic moves. You know, let them know I'm going to my glove department to get my insurance, or I'm going to my pocket to get my ID. You know, don't move, just sit there. Don't give no attitude neither, because that just fuel to a fire. Actually,
it works better to wait for instruction. That would be my advice to anyone, whether you're black, white, Asian, whatever culture. Just wait on instruction, you know, and these are things that, you know, definitely should be taught. These are things that, you know, you definitely should know your rights when you're being pulled over. But just know that on both ends, you know, we definitely have to make sure that we're looking at it in that way, where the officers are being stereotyped as bad cops. And you're already feeling, as a black man in America, you're already stereotyped as soon as you get pulled over.
All odds are against me. I already know that. So I approach every situation like that. Unfortunately, hopefully I can, over time, maybe I need to seek a therapist or something, but that's how I see it. Like, all odds are stacked against me. And so I know that, you know, through Christ, all things are possible. So that's, you know, Amen. I also keep that in my mind. So, but, you know, I'm never going to give up. You know, I know I'm a good person. You just have to give me a chance, you know, to show that. It's like Dr. Luther King used to always say that, you know, don't judge me by my skin color, judge me by the contents of my character. And so once you give someone an opportunity, then you can place that judgment. But
well, don't you think? Well, don't you think if you're saying the odds are against you, but you're quoting what Martin Luther King said, "Judge me not by my skin color, but the content of my character." How if you have the mindset that the odds are against you, how can anyone judge you by the content of your character when they don't know that? Because you're already giving the persona, the odds are against me. So therefore, how would they even know about the content of your character?
I mean, it's just the reality of it, you know, and I always keep also in my mindset of what the Honorable Marcus Garvey used to always say, you know, one without confidence, twice defeated. With confidence, you already had the victory before you even started. So I kind of use both those quotes in my mind, and that's how I'm here today, and that's just being real.
Well, let's sort of change the mindset of the odds are against me. Once you educate yourself and you continue to think positive as you already are, you're thinking positive, and you know you have a lot going for yourself, especially if you're writing a book and you've written books. So you know that's definitely an accomplishment. So definitely the odds could not be against you. Mm-hmm. You know, because you're standing here today, you're educated, and you're educating others. So definitely the odds are not against you. So we definitely push forward, we move forward, and we get together, you know, as a community. We get together as, together just to unite.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I have defeated the odds. That's why I'm here today. But I'm speaking on behalf of the millions of people who feel that they, are the underdogs.
Well, that we definitely need more people out there like you, definitely in our community, to have strong role models, strong people that will be able to definitely make a change.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We definitely want to thank you for joining us today. Definitely check out another episode of Kindred Culture. We would love to hear your feedback. We want to thank King Kevin again for joining us today. We hope that you tune into another episode of the next Kindred Culture.